Hello and welcome to For the Love of Truth. This is episode 221 and is another in the Back to Health series, but this one's going to be a little different. I'm speaking to Yvonne, and Yvonne has a condition called CMT, and it's unlikely that she will recover her health from that. However, she has learned some specific strategies and ways of coping with it. And the reason for our discussion today not only was to discuss that, but also that she wants to increase awareness about CMT. It is far more common than many of us realized, and I certainly had never heard of it until I had my discussion with Yvonne. And one of the things she wants to do is to increase awareness because the sooner that it is diagnosed, the sooner that the strategies can be put into place in order to slow down the development of the condition. And one of the things that really struck me during my conversation with Yvonne, during which we had a lot of fun, was just the strength of resolve and her spirit. And I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as we did. And if you have a story that you'd like to tell about your journey back to health, then I'd like to talk to you about that. And the best way you can reach me is to go to fortheloveoftruth.co.uk, go to the Contact Us page and send me a message, and then we can create a dialogue together and see where we go from there. You guys are amazing, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for joining me on the show. And would you like to tell me a little bit about your story? Because it sounds fascinating and scary.
Right, my name's Yvonne and my online name is Baboshka, and I have Charcot-Marie-Tooth, scoliosis, spondylitis, arthritis, insomnia, and I have dyslexia and apraxia, which affects my speech. So if I get a bit muddled up with my words, bear with me. But today we're going to be really talking about Charcot-Marie-Tooth.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll briefly go through what Charcot-Marie-Tooth is.
Okay.
So excuse me nerves.
You'll be fine. I'm nervous too because I couldn't get this recording working, and that's not like me.
Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, known as CMT, is hereditary motor and sensory neuropathy of the peripheral nervous system. And the characteristics is, sorry.
You'll be fine, don't worry.
Of the peripheral nervous system characterized by progressive loss of muscle tissue and touch sensation across various parts of the body. This disease is mostly commonly inherited neurological disorder affecting about 1 in 2,500 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of people.
It is. And one of the problems is very few medical people know about it.
Yeah.
And basically what it is with Charcot-Marie-Tooth is, imagine your nervous system is like electric wire. Yeah. You've got the copper wire, which is the nerves, and then you've got the plastic coating.
Yes.
Which protects the wire. That's the myelin. Now it's the myelin that's damaged.
Okay.
So if you've got electric wire and the plastic is damaged, that affects the currents.
Yep.
Which affects the pulses of the nerves and that. So what tends to happen is it causes certain deformities, problems in the peripheral nerves, which is the nerve endings.
Okay.
Yeah. And Charcot-Marie-Tooth is a very old disease. It was named by Dr. Charcot, Dr. Marie, Dr. Tooth, and you're talking about 1845 onwards.
Oh, wow.
These doctors were talking about this condition, and it is, and I've always been suspicious that MS, muscular, was related to CMT because there's a lot of common similarities to it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And Dr. Charcot was doctor who named MS. So these two diseases have been around for a very, very long time, and a lot of people know what MS is, not CMT. And it's also a hereditary condition, and it's like a flip of a coin.
Okay.
And out of three of us, my sister had it, I've got it, my sister's daughter had it, and she was pretty bad with it.
Yeah.
And my daughter's got it, and my granddaughter's got it. So it's been quite prolific in our family. And one of the problems also affects chromosome 17.
Okay.
It's kind of doubling up. There's a bit of a crackle. Okay, so we got to chromosome 17.
Yeah. What does that do?
Chromosome 17 it's kind of doubled up.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Okay.
And we don't know why
All right.
it happens.
Yeah.
And there's no cure for CMT, and there's very little medication that works. And the effects of CMT can be it can affect your hands and your feet, but also your legs and that.
Yeah.
And the symptoms are foot drop, high arches, claw toes, hammer toes, weakness of the muscles. You usually have tight Achilles, and with me, I used to walk on my tiptoes. So I've always known there was something wrong with my feet.
Okay.
And I think my mother had it because she used to walk similar to me.
Right.
And again, with anything like spina bifida, MS, there's various degrees of it. Some people can have it a bit more severe than others. Some people have even been born blind with it.
Wow.
And one of the common problems with CMT is scoliosis.
Okay.
If you've got CMT, then the chances are you will have scoliosis, and that's curvature of the spine.
Right.
Yeah. And then again, that causes other problems. One of the main issues with CMT, because so few people know about it, there's not a lot of help out there. And one of the main important issues is getting diagnosed early.
Okay.
I didn't really get diagnosed until I was in my 20s. When I was from a young age, my mum died, so I ended up in the care system.
Right.
And when you end up in the care system, because you move around a lot, things get overlooked in that.
Yeah.
And I was diagnosed at the age of 12 with Russos-Levy neuropathy, which is similar to all these names they give.
I know. How are you supposed to navigate your way through them?
Yeah. And I'd had a few operations, but because I was in the care system, people never explained anything to you.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of the adults just talked over you, and they used the language that you couldn't understand. And I was brought up in that era where don't speak till you're spoken to.
Yeah.
So asking questions and that never came into the equation.
Yeah.
And over time, my condition got worse because the problems with CMT, it's a degenerative condition, meaning it gets worse. And roughly the test for CMT is around the age of 12. Yeah. And sometimes the symptoms can be seen well before then.
Yeah.
But that's the proper genetic
yeah.
timing. And So when I had my daughter, I noticed she was having problems. And then when she was 12, we went to see one of those genetic guys who did our genes and that, and turned out we had CMT, both of us.
Right.
And mine was a bit more severe
Yeah.
than my daughter's. And basically that meant proper footwear for it, and seeing specialists from an early time. And obviously me researching into it so I could help her and she wouldn't have the problems that I had. Because when I was about 15, I asked about my condition and it was just like, oh, it's Rousseau-Levi neuropathy. You don't know much about it, end of.
Well, how's that going to help?
Yeah, well, this is one of the problems in the
Yeah.
care system. A lot of things do get overlooked.
Yeah.
And then trying to find out information or people who've got it.
Yeah.
It's like a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
So one of the important things is getting proper appliances, and that can be from inner soles that are built up, footwear, calipers, splints, these kind of appliances.
Okay.
The earlier you recognize the condition and the problems,
Yes.
the earlier you can help your condition from degenerating faster.
Right. So it slows it down then.
Yeah, it slows it down.
Right.
And it's got to be appliances that are comfortable for you.
Yeah. Well, they'd have to be custom made size-wise, won't they?
Yeah, yeah. And
I'm going to guess that pushes the price up through the roof too.
Yeah, I didn't get my boots till I was about 30.
Wow.
And by then, a lot of damage had been caused because I had to get a bigger shoe because of my feet. A bigger shoe can cause just as much damage as a shoe too small. Because what happens, your feet push.
Yeah. I can see that,
Yeah. And obviously a lot of problems had arisen from that. And then once I got my boots, it was amazing. Because they fitted like a glove.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the problems is when I moved here to the Isle of Wight, I lost whatever support I had.
Yeah.
And then it was back to square one. And it had taken kind of 10 years to sort out the proper footwear.
Yeah.
Because if you get a corn or a blister from footwear, that means it doesn't fit properly.
Yeah.
That's your shoe telling you.
Yeah.
I'm no good for you.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's very important to make sure when you get these appliances, they fit properly and you stand your ground.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the problems is people want them to fit, so you go away.
That seems to be a common thread in so many things, Yvonne. It's just people should learn to stand their ground. They don't have to be aggressive with it. Just stand in where you are, root yourself like a tree, and say, "I'm not going anywhere till we resolve this issue."
Yeah, definitely. And another problem is diet. Yeah, I used to love cereal, Rice Krispies, Sugar Puffs, all this. Yeah.
The grains are bad.
Well, one of the main problems is they're fortified with vitamins. And one of the things that we have to avoid, especially when it's being added to a food, is B6.
Right, okay.
Yeah, because one time the women would tell me, oh, take vitamin B supplements, do you good and that. So I went on it.
Yeah.
And my feet, every night, it felt like I was having electric shocks, spasms, cramps, you name it.
Yeah.
And I thought, what's changed?
B6.
And I did the research. I had to do something with the bees. And I researched, and it was vitamin B6 that aggravates our condition.
Mm.
And one of the problems is there's so much food out there with fortified vitamins.
Yeah.
And another thing I used to love, Ovaltine. Yeah. And that's got B6.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to look into the ingredients
Yeah.
and then avoid any products
Yeah.
with that in.
Mm. And that helps you manage it, does it?
Yeah, because, excuse me, it's not aggravating the
Yes.
nerves.
Yeah.
It's like a poison to the nerves, which is bizarre. Yeah, I can take B12.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Another problem is the likes of aspartame.
Oh God, that the man that invented that, we know who he is.
Yes.
Yeah, some horribly so painful things should happen to that man for what he did to the world with that.
Yeah. Well,
But
it's
it's in
all.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. It is truly shocking
Yeah.
how a poison can be put into our foods.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, aspartame is an artificial sweetener,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, and it's usually in those little pink packets or yellow packets. Yeah, ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that brings its problems within itself.
Yeah.
But if you've got Charcot-Marie-Tooth, it aggravates it.
Yeah.
So it's also best to avoid that. And when you avoid that, it helps your weight remain constant.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Fructose corn syrup.
Which again's in loads of things.
Yeah. This again aggravates CMT and it aggravates my gut.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I avoid any products with this in.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time you do your shopping, you've got everything in it.
A little small bag with all the same thing in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but because I've reduced all these things from my diet,
Yeah.
my weight now remains constant.
Yeah.
And I still have my cakes, my chips. I love my chips. Yeah. I love potatoes. And this is quite high in my diet.
Yeah.
But my weight's constant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked at like a ketogenic diet? Has that done anything for you?
Pardon?
Have you ever looked at a ketogenic diet?
No.
Yeah, which is it's fats and proteins, and because we don't really need carbs anyway.
Right. Well, I've got to be careful with the proteins because I've got no gallbladder.
Right.
Yeah. This is why I don't eat a lot of meat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So what was I saying?
Oh, you were talking about vitamin B6 doesn't aggravate it. Sorry, does aggravate it. B12 doesn't. You've got to be careful about your eat. We're on to fructose corn syrup. And then you said when you come back from the shops, you end up with quite a small shop.
Yeah. And all these things like aspartame, fructose corn syrup and that, this is one of the problems why people are having weight problems.
Yeah.
And I know this because I've reduced it from my diet. Because one time I just look at a cake, and honestly, I was my dresses were tenths years ago, and it's very important to keep your weight below a certain level because that will aggravate everything. You know, and also fluoride.
Yeah.
And now because I've got scoliosis and spondylitis, it also aggravates them.
Yeah.
And I know this because when I used to visit my daughter in America, her water was fluoridated.
Yeah.
And I had to go out of town to get shower and that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know until I went to my daughter's and I was getting all these pains. It was like someone had beaten me up.
Yeah.
And all my bones were aching.
Yeah.
And then when I came back home, and I thought, what's different?
Yeah.
Fluoridated water.
That's right. And it's not just drinking it, showering in it, because your skin absorbs so much.
Yeah. And, I'm not meaning to be a hippie or whatever, but this all affects, your life, the
Yeah.
quality of your life,
Yeah.
and it can also affect the CMT.
Yeah. Well, I would suspect, and I might be wrong, that you would have, like you said, you're more severe than your daughter. There could be people that are just borderline in that direction, and just small changes could prevent a degeneration and the aggravation they're experiencing. It could just settle it right down if they're not too far along the path.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like spina bifida. People are walking around with spina bifida and they don't know about it because it's that mild.
Yeah. Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you know, and the problem is because of all the vitamin B6s and that,
Mm-hmm.
which are given to kids
Yep.
in the cereals,
Yep.
it's aggravating.
Yeah.
And it's always annoyed me because trying to find cereals without this in,
You're not going to do. You might. Some of the more natural kind of artisan stuff might have it now, but traditionally, no, you wouldn't find it.
it's not on the shelf.
No.
It's not.
No.
Another thing I'd like to talk about is drugs, pharmaceutical drugs.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you looked at the list I sent you, but the list.
I didn't see a list.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll send you them separately. You mightn't have got them because it was in a.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a title, but I didn't see the list yesterday. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a long list of drugs
Yeah.
that we have to avoid.
Yeah.
From antibiotics, depression pills,
Mm-hmm.
some cancer treatment drugs. There's a long list of pharmaceutical drugs we have to avoid because it can aggravate, speed up
Mm-hmm.
the CMT.
Right.
And all this information is on the CMT USA
Okay.
website.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the drugs that you have to avoid.
Well, what I'll do, if you send me that over, I'll put that in a link to the show notes for people as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
And this has also been a big problem because over the years,
Yeah.
doctors are prescribing us medicines
Yeah.
that severely aggravating the conditions.
Yeah.
Which
I don't like to say it about doctors, but many of them, that's all they seem able to do.
what happened then? There was crackling.
I grabbed a piece of paper
Right.
to write something. I just wanted to remind myself to put the notes about CMT USA.
Okay, we were talking about pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah. Well, a big list I would give everyone is don't use any of them. That's probably the safest bet.
Yeah, and I'm not very good with medicines anyway. I cannot take any painkillers apart from a paracetamol.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for if I feel a migraine's coming on and stop it from becoming full blown.
Yeah.
If the normal things don't work, then I'll just take a paracetamol and that sorts it. But for any other pains, nothing I can take.
Right.
And sometimes my pains can be that bad it can affect me breathing.
Wow.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not just my feet.
Yeah.
It's the pains from the scoliosis, spondylitis, as well as the arthritis.
How do you survive?
By following the rules that I do.
Right. So you've got like a protocol set out. You do this, that, and the other, and
Yeah. And because I'm avoiding the aspartame, the fluoride, all that helps.
Yeah.
But every night I'm in pain when I go to bed. I think it's because all the muscles are relaxing, and people with CMT know exactly what I mean by this.
Right.
Yeah. And what some of the drugs that they'll give you is like Gambitol, something like that, and this other drug. And this was only recently, and I refused them.
Mm-hmm.
And first thing I did was come home and look into them.
Yeah.
And one can cause insomnia.
That's helpful.
Yeah, because insomnia is the bane of my life.
Yeah.
Since I was a child, I've suffered with insomnia.
Right.
And the other one causes can cause strokes, which I don't have.
You don't want them either.
No. And, you know, one time they were prescribing the likes of Prozac to people with CMT.
Yeah.
And if you look at a lot of these drugs, they are side effects.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these drugs are not tested for the likes of people with CMT.
Yeah.
And it's only when people have these drugs, medicines, then they start having the symptoms.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like one time I was so desperate for sleep. I was homeless at the time in a hostel, and I was really desperate for sleep, and I went to the doctors.
Yeah.
And they gave me something to help me sleep. And I asked them, any side effects? Dry mouth. Yeah. So I get home, first thing I did was popped it.
Yeah.
Usually I look at the side effects.
Yeah.
And the next minute I'm in bed and all these faces are jumping out at me. Yeah. I was hallucinating.
Yeah.
And it was a good job weighing back in my crazy days when I tried out LSD. I knew, you know, it's the drug causing this.
Yes.
It'll go.
Eventually.
And lucky enough, my mate Rick in Canada was up.
Yeah.
And we had a chat and that, yeah, and he kept me company till things calmed down a bit. And then I looked at the side effects. The list was like that. Yeah. And you know one of the side effects? Insomnia.
I've read that on antidepressants can cause depression. It's like, that's what it's supposed to stop doing.
Yeah. As well as the other things.
Yeah.
But the hallucinating was pretty scary.
Yeah.
And if no one's ever experienced that, it could be quite traumatic.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried to tell the GPs, the doctors, and the pharmacist.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And another time when my son was born, he was born severely spina bifida.
I'm sorry.
And basically, I brought him home to die. And at the time, my insomnia got worse.
Yeah.
Because obviously the stress and that. And I went to the doctors, and guess what they prescribed me? Valium. Yeah. And I took one, and the next day I felt groggy and that, and I thought, I cannot afford to be in this headspace and look after a severely disabled child, so I threw them away.
Yeah.
And lucky enough, you know, I never ever went down that path.
Yeah.
But from the age of 18, under those kind of stresses, no support, mentally, no support with dealing with my son at that.
Yeah.
Here's a pill. Yeah. And my last GP she was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out that it's no good trying any pharmaceutical medicines on me because I have side effects.
Yes.
So it came to the crunch of trying to sort out my own medicines.
Mm-hmm.
And I love vegetables, I love salads, and I love potatoes. Yeah, and I'll make my own pastry and that, which is good for my hands because it exercises them.
Yep.
It's the same with my laundry. I do most of my laundry by hand because it exercises. Can be a bit of a pain and a drag, but there's a good reason why.
Yeah.
And in my medicine cabinet, I have iodine because I'm always forever cutting my hands, burning them, whatever. So if I do that, I'll just slap a bit of iodine. Stings like a...
Yeah, I use iodine too. It does sting like nothing else, really.
yeah. But my model is the more it stings, the more it's healing. Yeah. Magnesium.
Yep.
Magnesium I found is very good because it kind of puts like a coating on the myelin.
Yep.
It's the only way I can explain how it works for me.
Okay.
and it can reduce the electric shocks, the spasms,
Yeah.
all the problems
Well,
of when,
it's a relaxant, whereas
yeah,
the calcium's a contractor, isn't it? That's the one that causes the tension, if you will.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
How do you take that? Do you take a pill or do you use magnesium oil?
no, I take magnesium capsules.
Okay, because you can get more into your system with magnesium oil. Just putting it on your skin, it absorbs more, and it because when you take too much magnesium orally, you can get the laxative effect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
no,
cheap too. You buy I buy magnesium chloride flakes. Well, what happened was, first of all, I went down to the health food shop and they had a little bottle, 100 mils for 10 quid, and I'm thinking, you're having a laugh. So I looked at it and I thought, I know what that is. So I went back and I found out it's magnesium chloride flakes, which I buy anything up to a 25 kilo bag of it for about 30 quid. And then you mix it 50-50 with distilled water in a spray bottle, just spray it on your skin, rub it in. So it cost me probably about 10p, I suppose, or something like that, instead of 10 quid.
have you done a video on that?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Can you put the link in?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because that'd be good to have a look.
Yeah, because for me, I had loads of issues around magnesium and using it on my skin, apart from the fact that it can itch a lot to start with, but that passes. Then you just, I use it every day. I have done now for about 7 years. Every day I get out of the shower, dry off, spray it on, rub it all in, let it dry, get dressed, go about my day.
Brilliant. I use colloidal.
Colloidal.
Silver.
Yeah, colloidal, yeah.
Say,
Colloidal.
yeah, colloidal. That's the effect.
Colloidal, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I also use that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I'll use that in my mouth.
Yeah.
Also on burns.
Yeah.
And on my skin,
Yeah.
just because I use it like a cleanser.
Yeah. If you
Yeah.
spray it in your eyes as well, it really freshens them up.
You know, there's a saying, born with a silver spoon in the gob.
That's right. That's what it was about, yeah. That's
Yeah.
also, they used to throw silver coins into wells, and people say it was for wishing. It's not. It's because it purified the well, so it made the water drinkable.
Yeah, I also heard they used to put a silver spoon in a bottle of port.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's something else. We're okay with silver, but we're not good with gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I also use B12, but only when I feel as though I need it. I don't take it every day because too much B12 is not good.
Okay.
Yeah. And you start recognizing the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm lacking B12, it kind of affects me hormonal and mood swings. That's one of the first signs of that. The same with the vitamin D.
Yep.
If I start feeling depressed, lethargic and that, I know I'm lacking vitamin D. So then I'll start taking my supplements in the summer. I don't need to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. People don't realize that it's if you're not getting out in the sun a lot, you've got a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I get the winter blues.
Yep. Yep.
So it is important to keep your vitamin D level even. You know, when I was severely lacking vitamin D and I didn't know this, I was wanting to throw myself off the Dover and that. You know, the world was just crashing in.
Yeah.
As soon as I started taking the vitamin D, all that went away.
Yeah, it makes people don't realize just how sensitive we are to shortages of minerals and vitamins and stuff, because this entire unit requires a very fine mix of everything. It knows what to do with it, but you're always better to have probably a little bit more than certainly any kind of deficiency, because then you have problems.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I know, if I'm lacking vitamin D or B12, the flushes start.
Oh, right, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about, listening to your body.
Yes, very important.
Yeah. And it's like if you get a craving for something, that's because your body's lacking whatever's in that food.
Yeah.
So in my cabinet, I've got magnesium, iodine, vitamin D, B12, the colloidal silver.
I prefer the way you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my main medicine box.
Yeah, in mine I also have DMSO, and I have food grade hydrogen peroxide. All right. DMSO is dimethyl sulfoxide. Yeah, I'll send you a link to a video I did on it as well.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting material for dragging toxins out of the system, but also for healing as well. And I'll send you a link to Amanda Vollmer. She's done some good work on that. She's written a book on it too. And then peroxide is just, it's water with extra oxygen in it, if that makes sense. I know they use it for bleaching hair, but it's amazing for cleansing stuff, for healing things. It is my go-to when I get bad cuts and stuff when I'm working on engines. Just get some of that on it, hop around the floor because it stings like mad. But then I've never had a problem. So it works really, really well.
Is that MS?
No, that's different. You're thinking of MMS.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got some of that and never ever bothered trying it.
Yeah. It smells like bleach.
Yeah.
It's extraordinarily powerful.
Right.
But certainly the DMSO, it's one worth looking at. It's remarkable what it can do for pain relief as well. It's very potent for pain relief.
Right. Well, this I remember years ago. I was first place I lived in. I was surrounded by hippies, vegans, and all this, and it kind of made me run away from it.
Yeah.
You know, taking vitamins and whatever, because a lot of them would be pushing veganism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next minute you see them round the corner eating a pork pie.
Yeah, okay, so no vegans were harmed in the making of the pie then.
You know, but I didn't realise how important it was to make sure your vitamin level.
Yes. Yeah, it's huge.
It does make a big difference, and I didn't realise how much poisons are in our foods and medicines.
Yeah.
You know, I'd seen a consultant recently, and I asked him if he could prescribe me cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Because in America, I can go to any shop and get it, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the difference it makes.
Mm-hmm.
And even the CMT organization in America highly recommends cannabis for people with CMT.
Yeah.
But in Britain, it's illegal. And do you know who the biggest exporters is of medical cannabis?
No.
Britain.
That's rich.
Yeah. So therefore, right?
Sorry, that's ridiculous.
And if you don't believe me,
I don't doubt you. It makes sense.
And it's in the likes of the Guardian, the Daily Mail, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all in them. It's all there.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, okay, Britain is either selling a product that doesn't do what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that's fraud.
Yep.
So it's got to do what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
For them to be able to export it as a medicine.
Yeah.
Yet they say to us, the people, not enough research on it. We don't know enough about it. Bollocks! They're exporting it.
Yeah. I'm with you 100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's a real shock to find out that they're lying about a few things.
Yeah. And they're denying me.
Yeah.
You know, no side effects.
Nope.
No problems with it.
No addictions, nothing.
Yeah. And one time I went over and met Rick Simpson.
I was speaking with a woman yesterday about Rick Simpson. The video will be up tomorrow night. No, Friday night.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Well, I went over and met him, and I met Rick Dwyer.
Okay.
He was also in the video.
Yeah.
We're good friends. And he was the one that tuned me into the THC.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise how good it was for CMT.
Yeah.
But here's this natural medicine that grows like a weed.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's denied us.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the British establishment government is selling it as a medicine outside UK.
That's going to be popular.
It's mad. And I even tell doctors this, the consultant.
Yeah.
He said, no, he can prescribe me Gambitol and this other thing, which has got side effects in, if you look at the lists, but not cannabis.
Yeah. Well,
and I said to him, do you know the biggest export? and he's like,
yeah. The woman I was speaking to yesterday had migraines for 30 years, debilitating ones every day. And she eventually got put onto cannabis oil, Rick Simpson oil, RSO. And she was able to wean herself off years of opioids in 3 days with no side effects.
Yeah.
It's that potent. Yeah. It's an amazing plant. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the documentaries of all the addictions in like Scotland, America, and that, in Scotland it's Valium, that kind of problem. Yeah. You've got fentanyl addiction, opioids addiction, and a lot of these people start off on these drugs as a painkiller.
Yep.
Imagine if I'd got onto the Valium train.
I'd rather not.
Imagine what it'd be like now.
Yeah.
See, for people like me, because we've been in the care system and that, we usually end up junkies, alcoholics, loads of kids to different men and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Particularly if you've been abused.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because of those statistics, I've always been adamant, I'm not going down that path.
Good on you. Well done.
And my life's been up and down like a roller coaster, but it's never been dull, and I'm living life.
Yeah. I can tell that you've got a sparkle in your eye.
Well, this is it. It's, I believe you've got to be responsible for your health.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the system ain't going to do it for you.
No.
The system isn't there to make you better. They're there to make a profit.
Well, and they do that by keeping you just alive, but not dead. And that's where they hold you.
But it's getting that way now, Adrian, that society, there's too many unhealthy people in society.
Yeah.
It'll get that bad where it won't be profitable anymore.
No.
Because there won't be enough money in circulation to pay for all this.
Yep. Yep.
So the bubble's got to burst sooner or later.
That's right. And if people would just take responsibility and start to do some basic research, it doesn't have to be complex. There are answers out there, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do this series on getting back to health and people who've got all sorts of health conditions and what they've done and how they've helped themselves. Like you aren't healthy in terms of back to where you might get to, but you're certainly managing what you've got, and you've got some measure of control of it, and you've worked out this kind of parameters that as long as I sit within these parameters, I can function.
Yeah, definitely, bang on.
Yeah.
It's like with me apraxia and dyslexia. Do you know when that was diagnosed?
No, don't tell me it was recent.
When I was 57.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, I've got all my files from when I was in care.
Yeah.
I got them when I moved in here.
Yeah.
And I've also got medical records from my GP and everything from as early as possible. And there was all these signs of it, and people have even said speech problem, blah, blah. And no one ever did anything about it. So because of that, I never got the help, because it doesn't need to be debilitating.
That'll do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Debilitating, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But because it was never recognised, because it meant they had to spend money.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was never. I never got the support for it. And one of the things with apraxia, all the information's there in the head, but it's getting it out the mouth.
Yeah.
It's articulating the words and being able to pronounce the words.
Yeah.
And this can cause a lot of frustration.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's apparent to me. You smile now as you do that, which is lovely, and that must have come as just as a coping strategy to try and get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
it's, but because the problem was never recognised,
Yeah.
it could be that stage now where it's too late to do anything because the pattern's so ingrained.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why it's also another important reason why if your child shows signs of dyslexia, praxia, get on board with it straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
You know?
the longer the neural pathways you're in, I would think it is harder. But at the same time, I have a sneaking suspicion you're extraordinarily stubborn and mindly strong and willful, and you won't take no for an answer. I can kind of sense
Yeah.
that.
You've got to stand your ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, including with yourself, and say, listen, I'm not accepting this.
Yeah.
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 You know, but one of my highlights of life is Tank Girl, the mobility scooter.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, there was a bit of an issue when I thought, I've got to do it.
Yeah.
Because I used to have calipers that weighed 10 pounds with my boots, and it was doing me back in and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm walking around them with pain in my face.
Yeah.
But people were seeing it like, I want to smack you. Kind of look on my face. Yeah. And it was just, I'm in pain.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah. And it was bizarre because people would still make me walk around them.
For God's sake.
Yeah. And then it came to the crunch, okay, I've got to get a mobility scooter.
Yeah.
And I didn't want one that screamed spastic, you know, disabled, you know, divvy, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted something with a bit of... Yeah, so I ended up buying me E40 one, and it just opened up my life because a lot of people like it.
Yeah.
So as soon as I go out, people say hello, they smile, and I smile back, and it's contagious.
Yeah.
And I feel good for a couple of minutes. I've lightened someone's shoulders.
Yeah. How beautiful! Yeah, but how beautiful is that? That you've got that much compassion for those around you as well, despite all the stuff that's gone on and the discomfort and the frustration you're feeling pretty much constantly. I would think.
It's good medicine.
It is. Yeah.
And because it's good medicine, one day when this lockdown happened, I thought I'll go out and ask people to dance.
Good on you.
Have a little boom box.
Yeah.
So wherever I go, I have my boom box on, because the horn on Tank Girl is a bit wimpy.
Yeah.
And no one hears it, but they hear me boom box. Yeah. It was either that or get one of those big horns.
Oh, aye.
Yeah. And I didn't want to do that. I'm frightened the old days.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah. You know, so people can hear me coming. Yeah. So, and loads of people ended up dancing.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it is. And it's things like that puts the spark back in my life.
Yeah, brilliant.
I was hoping to do Route 66 on Tank Girl. Yeah. And the company was going to sponsor me, and I've applied my application for the World Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah.
Went through. And guess what happened? COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
So that put a lot of... well, just nipped it in the bud, basically. Yeah. So...
Cool. Well, I don't know what to say, really. You are really amazing, and how you've conducted yourself, the kind of way you figured things out, the way you're willing to share, the way you still touch people's lives, it's just beautiful. And I guess I have a question for you, based on where you are now. If there was some advice you could give to the younger you, what would you say?
Take control of my health earlier on, because this is another problem, because sometimes CMT can be a creeper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1 minute you can do things, next minute you can't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a creeper in the sense of little things happen,
Mm-hmm.
but then boom,
Yeah.
yeah. And if you follow the rules that suit your body and your mind,
Yeah.
then you know, follow that.
Yeah.
Get proper appliances, supports. Even when it comes to bats, this is another issue. When I decided to take this place, it had a bath, and I was like, yes. When I moved in, they took it out, and they put in this divvy shower, and it's got little knobbly bits on the bottom. May as well have put a load of stones in the bottom.
Yeah.
And they always put crappy showers in, so you got to turn around to do the front and the back.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got balance problems, that's no good. And then if you put a chair in, it's right in your face, and then you got to, you know, or if it's a stool and that, and it's just too cumbersome.
Yeah.
And it never warms the bones up, because one of the problems is we can get cold to the bones, and nothing will heat you up apart from that hot bath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a bath put in, so I can, and you can't massage your feet as good,
No.
you know.
No.
So if you need a bath, you fight for a bath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't have this where, like, they're prepared to give me a lift. That's battery for the bath, yeah. And by the time you're in the seat lift and that, and you're in the water, well, the water's only up to here, and then it's battery operated, yeah. Then they came up with this blow up thing, yeah, which is again battery operated. You blow it up, you sit in it, then you release it, then it brings you down, yeah. All this crap just to get into the bath,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, no. Then a big step. That's okay getting in the bath, but what about getting out? And all I want is a low bath like the Americans have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're prepared to spend all this money on all these gadgets.
Yeah.
Then give me something that suits me.
Yeah. Well,
So I'm in a bit of a battle with this at the moment.
well, I feel sorry for them because they're going to lose. I know.
You know, but this is it. When you've got a condition like CMT, it can be a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
You know, for the right appliances and that.
Yeah.
Like when they first gave me footwear, they were like Frankenstein. Do
Oh, God.
you know what I mean? And the thing is, they still gave me blisters.
Oh, for God's sake.
And I tried to leave them on the bus. And someone went, hey, love, you left your bag. I was like, because, you know, I had to go back to the kids' home to give a genuine story.
Yeah.
I left them on the bus,
Yeah.
but it didn't happen. I didn't end up wearing them, but,
Yeah.
you know, they do a catalogue
Yeah.
of fashionable boots.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the ugly ones and that. You know,
Yeah.
go for them.
Cool.
Don't go for the cheap versions that
Yeah.
they want to give you. And another thing, my new calipers fit on the outside of the boot. I will not wear the plastic splint that goes in boots. One, it ruins your boots.
Yeah.
And I'm more prone to blisters.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that, because they're very hard.
Yeah.
To be made perfect.
Yeah.
And your feet sweat more in them.
Yeah.
So again, I'll send you a picture of this so you can put a link to it where people can see.
That'd be great. Anything you can do on that. It's going to be, I would have thought it's going to be a couple of days before I get it edited anyway, so we've got plenty of time. I would rather take our time, put some resources together, put some information together, plenty of links. That's always so useful for people.
Yeah,
and
definitely. So basically taking control of your CMT as early as possible.
Yeah.
And don't be scared to try out different things. If they don't work, they don't work. Try something else.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm making a video about toe supports.
Okay.
To help stop the toes from.
Yeah.
You know, and if I
So
did
do
this,
you have a YouTube channel then?
yeah,
Okay. Well, make sure you send me that link as well.
I will do. I will do. Yeah. Yeah. As I say, it's important to have. If I did this years ago, my toes wouldn't be as bad as they are now. And the problem is, this orthopedic wants to start chopping my toes off.
What? They're your
This is.
toes. What's he got? Some kind of weird toe collection going on?
I, I was like, they're my toes you're talking about. And if you do it with one, you've got to do it with the all because they've all got the same problem. Eventually, the circulation it's going to go in the toes completely. And that's when. But I'm hoping I'll be dead by the time that happens.
Well, that's also where the DMSO is good because it makes the circulation stronger.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll definitely look into that.
Yeah.
And what I've wanted to do, and I told the specialist this, is to break my toes and pin them first.
Okay.
Because once they're chopped off, they can't be put back on, can they?
No.
So we're going to try that route first, but this is how bad CMT can get.
Right.
You know, so this is why it's more important you take control of it from an early age.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, you know, kill the monster while it's little if you can, or at least control it.
Yeah.
Cool. That has been one of the most awesome discussions I've had because of you.
Cheers. I was very nervous.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
more so because of me apraxia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Like the dyslexia. Why would they pick a word I can't even spell to describe something that affects spelling and numbers?
They say dyslexia.
Yeah.
Trying to spell it. Apraxia, which is difficult to say. And when people who had a lisp.
Yeah.
Called it lisp, and they couldn't say it.
Yeah.
I'm sure these people are taking the piss.
No, I'm 100% convinced they are taking the urine.
Yeah. You know, it's
Yeah, and by the way, thank you also for putting up with all the ridiculous technical problems we had. The fact that somehow we haven't got the first part of the video, which I'm pretty certain is down to me again. But I will put together something which will be, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, well, if you need to do the first bit again, well,
no, I think what I'll do is I'll do a screenshot of your face, and we'll just have that, and I'll do an introduction, and I'll explain then, you know, this is what happened, so they'll see you, and then at some point the video just starts.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll send you those pictures individually.
Thank you.
Yeah, because can I just say something else as well?
Yeah.
It's very important that you see a podiatrist because of our circulation and that we're high risk of getting infections in the toes because of the loss of sensation and that. Yeah. And one of the things that happened during lockdown, all the appointments got cancelled.
Yeah.
So it meant me doing my toenails. And I've got proper heavy duty toenail cutters.
Yeah.
And I dropped it on one of my toes and broke my toe on lockdown.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And then when I was in the bath, I bent it. I was a bit rough and it was like an L shape.
Yeah.
My toe. So, and it was definitely broke. So it had to be strapped and that. Yeah. Then also what happened, because my cancellation for my boots, which I was desperately needing, because they were cancelled, I was wearing boots that were too old, too worn, which were causing blisters.
Yeah.
So I had a broken toe, blisters. I couldn't wear my boots anymore.
Yeah.
So I got I got my sandals, which I can't hardly walk in, and I put my inner soles in them. And then I got sunburns.
Oh, for God's sake.
And I couldn't feel my feet burning.
No.
Yeah, because I weren't used to wearing my sandals outside. Yeah. So my feet were in a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll send you a picture of it. Then I dropped, when all them healed, I dropped a Pyrex dish on my foot. So all
you don't answer to the name of Lucky, do you?
Well, all in the short space of time, you name it.
Yeah.
Everything happened.
Yeah.
So it's always important to have straps for broken toes,
Yeah.
padding, bandages,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
By the way, next time you get sunburn, if you do, your own urine's really good for it.
Yeah,
It's really good for sunburn, yeah.
it's good for your compost.
It is, yeah, it's good for your plants,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah, I
also,
put it,
magnesium oil is amazing for it as well. It might sting a little bit, but it takes all the heat out of it.
yeah, I'll definitely look into
Yeah.
that magnesium.
Yeah.
Thank you very much
Well, no
for
worries.
that.
I'll send you some links across when we finish. I'm actually going to have to go in a sec, so I've got another call starting in about 5 minutes. I need to go get a drink and visit the toilet.
Adrian, it's been fabulous.
Likewise.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, hopefully we'll have a chat again about.
I would really like that, and thank you for helping to co-create this and bringing this into people's awareness, because I'd never heard of it, and I'm sure there's lots of other people that aren't aware of it as well.
And as you're seeing, a lot of people have got it.
Yes, 100%, yeah.
Yeah. All right then. Thank you very much, Chucky.
Thank you.
Take care.
Blessings to you. Take care. Cheers now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.